Hey everybody, ABC 10 meteorologist Brenden Mincheff trying to answer one simple question. How's the water for California? We're now entering March, typically when the rainy season starts to wind down. Doesn't end in March, but starts to wind down compared to where we've been the last few months. So I think we're all asking the question, myself included. How's our snowpack? How are the reservoirs? Have we gotten enough rain? What is the situation that we're currently in? So stick around for the next few minutes. Hopefully I can give you an answer to that question. Today is March 2nd when I am filming this video, so all these numbers are based off of March 2nd. Keep that in mind. As we look at the precipitation tracker for Sacramento, total so far for the month of March, well, 0, right? It's, we're only 2 days into the month. Normally we average about 0.2 of an inch through the first couple days of March, so we're just a little bit behind. Honestly, we're so early in the month, this top row doesn't even really mean anything for us. This row is what really matters, the water year. Total so far, 12.5 inches. Over a foot of water has fallen in Sacramento since October 1st. Average to date, about 13 1/3. So we are a little bit behind on the water year, but not by a whole lot, by less than an inch. So from October 1st through March 2nd, we are only 3/4 of an inch behind where we should be. So that means we're having a pretty normal water year. Here's what the rainy season averages in Sacramento. This is what it typically looks like. October, yeah, we'll get a few showers. November, we'll get that kind of first storm. And then our rainiest months, December, January, February, that's where we get the bulk of our rainy season done. But notice March, we average about 2.5 inches of rain in March. That's all averages. Here's what we actually saw this rainy season. Of course, so far, I suppose I should say. October way overperformed. We got more than an inch above usual in October. November also way overperformed. Over 3 inches of rain fell in November. We averaged just about 1.5 inches of rain. December, January, and February are 3 wettest months on average, all underperformed by about an inch, maybe a little bit less than that, especially when we're talking about February. But nonetheless, the 3 wettest months of the year all underperformed. You can see that there, how October, November have really carried us this rainy season. We did all right, to be fair, in December, January, and February. But because we did not at least hit normal through the wettest part of the rainy year, that is why we are behind normal so far. That's in Sacramento. Other parts of the state honestly doing all right through March 2nd. In fact, most of the state is doing at least all right, because you look at places like Stockton and Modesto, they're plus 2 inches above normal. Sacramento a little behind. Eureka, less than an inch above usual. They're having a very normal year. San Francisco plus 1 inch. But then you look down in Southern California. Southern California has had an exceptionally wet winter, especially early in the season. Santa Barbara almost 10 inches above usual. Los Angeles about 3.5 inches above usual. San Diego 2 1/3. So again, we're okay in terms of the rain that we've seen. Yeah, a few places a little behind normal, but we're not talking about being 3, 4, 5+ inches below normal on the water year. Plus, because we've had some wet winters as of late, and because we definitely got some rain this winter, our reservoirs are doing just fine. Trinity, Shasta, and Oroville, the 3 biggest in the state, all above 85% capacity. So 88% of capacity at Trinity, 85% at Shasta, and 86% of Oroville. You see those on the map there. Folsom is a big one for the Sacramento area, but it's not a water storage reservoir. Of course, we go out there to have fun. We have a lot of recreation that goes on at Folsom. But really, that's more of a flood protection reservoir. That's why it's always emptier than the other reservoirs. So that's at 68% of capacity. But then we look at average, right? Trinity, 130% of average. Shasta, 117% of average. Oroville, 132% of average. And Folsom, 119% of average. We'll move a little further south. New Melones, Don Pedro, Millerton, San Luis. Again, all doing just fine. 77% of capacity at New Melones, 85% capacity at Don Pedro, 71% at Millerton. And it's important to note San Luis is part of the California Aqueduct. It's part of that system that moves water from north to south. That's an off-stream pumped reservoir. So it's not really about the rain that falls there. It's more about how much we're putting in that reservoir. It's all controlled in San Luis. So that's an important caveat there. But the fact that there's water in it, the fact that it's above average, it's all good news. New Melones, 128% of average, 116 in Don Pedro, and 111 in Millerton and San Luis. So reservoirs just fine. Our water year, we're doing all right. We're very close to normal across Northern California. Let's talk about snowpack. This is a little bit of a different story, but it differs based on which part of the mountains you're talking about. If you're talking about the northern Sierra, well, it's just 42% of average to date. Again, this is for March 2nd, 37% of that April 1st average. So definitely could be better in the northern Sierra. Central Sierra, we're about half of what we should see. 63% of average to date, but 56% of that all-important April 1st average. And April 1st is important, just to clarify, because that's typically our peak snowpack. Through the winter to April 1st, we're typically adding to the snowpack. After April 1st, because we get longer days, more sunshine, fewer storms, we typically don't add to the snowpack. We can get that kind of mid to late April storm that'll put a little bit more into that snowpack number, but it's a lot harder to build snowpack after April 1st, which is why we always measure everything as to where we are with April 1st average. In the southern Sierra, to finish off this map, 86% of average to date and 77% of that April 1st average. So the southern Sierra doing a lot better. Most of the storms have come in and hit the southern Sierra. Fewer storms have come in and hit the northern Sierra. Here's what that number looks like statewide for March 2nd. 62% average to date, 55% of that April 1st average. Let's look back though. So as of March 1st, so we're going back one day as of the recording of this video, statewide snowpack was 63%. 2025, March 1st, 83%, 2024, 87%, 2023, that winter of 22 to 23, that was that big winter, got a ton of snow. Well, as of March 1st, 2023, we had 194% of normal snowpack. Obviously, that's the outlier. 2022 and 2021, both close to 64 and 61%. So we're close to where we were for the winters of 21 and 22. But it's important to remember, we talked about the reservoirs, right? We're good. We have a lot of water in the reservoir. So in terms of water storage, of course, we'd always like to have more snow, but it's all right. Even if this is the last storm that we see, which I wouldn't necessarily bank on that, but even if it is, snowpack, it's okay. Could be worse, definitely could be better though too. So how does this impact the drought monitor? Here's what it looked like at the start of the water year on October 1st, 2025. Really not a lot of drought across Northern California, maybe some abnormally dry areas, but abnormally dry, that yellow shade is not technically drought. All the drought that we had at the start of the water year was really down in Southern California. Here's what it looks like as of March 2nd. Zilch, nothing. We got no drought across Northern California. 100% of the state is not in any sort of drought, not even abnormally dry, that D0 category. Nothing in Northern California, nothing in Central California, nothing in Southern California. We're good in terms of drought. And that's important because if we were behind, if we were already in some abnormally dry conditions or in some drought in early March, that means our winter really lacked for us. But the fact that we are all the way through our wettest months of the year, the fact that we still have about another month or so where we can still get some of those pretty decent storms and we don't have any drought, that is good news. That means we have done all right as we move through what's left of winter, move into spring. Obviously, we are going to go back into some form of some abnormally dry conditions as we go into the summer. That's just what happens. That's what we normally see. But the fact that we're opening up March with zero drought anywhere in Northern California is great news. Over the next 8 to 14 days, this is as we move into the middle of March here, very likely warmer than normal across California. That means two things. One, we don't have any storms on the horizon because storms, when we get the juicy ones, are cold. The second thing it means is we're going to lose some snowpack here because we are going to be warmer than normal. Snow is going to melt. And again, snow melts. It's typical. That's what happens. But the very likely warmer than normal category here means we're going to be above average. So our rate of snow loss is also likely to be above average. So our snowpack is going to shrink a little faster, right, over the next couple of weeks. But it also, like I said, means there's no storms on the horizon. This likely drier over the next 8 to 14 days is what you'd expect. But I have to stress this because I can't stress it enough. Don't put the rain gear away. Don't put the snow gear away. March is, on average, the 4th wettest month of the year in Sacramento and across Northern California. So even though we are through the wettest part of the water year, December, January, and February, March is no slouch. We average about 2.6 inches of water in Sacramento in the month of March. That is more than November, certainly more than October, and it's more than April. So we have to still be ready for these big storms. Even though we don't have any big storms over the next couple of weeks in the forecast, nothing on the horizon, we can definitely still get it. We can have it both ways in March. It can be very spring-like, it can be very warm, it can be 75, it can be 80, and then the next week we can get one of those big storms that dumps a bunch of water, brings a bunch of snow to the high country. Remember, just a couple of years ago, we opened up the month of March with a blizzard in the Sierra. That was in 2024. It impacted early voting in the presidential primaries. Mail-in voting was tough. You remember all that? That was just a couple years ago. March can be snowy, so important to keep that in mind. Although we do start to go the other direction with our rain from here on out, that doesn't mean it's over. Even April can bring us kind of that odd storm. To put this in perspective, over the last 10 years, so this is 2015 to 2025 in March, we averaged about 2.6 inches of rain in Sacramento. The driest was in 2015. Again, this is just over the last 10 years, but the driest was in 2015 where we had less than a quarter inch of rain in Sacramento. But the wettest was in 2018. We had over 5 inches of rain in Sacramento in the month of March. So it can go both ways. It can be dry, it can be wet, a little bit of both. On average, we pick up about 2.5 inches of rain in Sacramento in the month of March. So that's where we are as of March 2nd in terms of our snowpack, in terms of our water year, our water storage, what drought looks like. If you want more of these extended forecasts, of these weather explainers, download that ABC 10 streaming app. You can get it wherever you stream. There's a weather playlist there. And again, we got extended forecasts, we got extended weather explainers like this one, weather and climate specials. It's all there on the ABC 10 streaming app. Thanks for watching.